week's video as well. So
can we remind everyone to mute?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so we'll mute ourselves, just in case we have some like phone calls coming in or dogs or whatever. I know they're gonna bark at me. So here's our last of our August mini series. They've been really successful. I think I like the Zoom format. So we're gonna learn today from Maria. She has our actual West Jersey Reading Council thing, and we have Bob. Bob, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
And then we have Jen. She's from NJCTE, right? And up North Jersey. So we're going to get a little bit of North Jersey. And
oh, I'm not North Jersey. I live at the shore. No, I'm an Ocean County girl.
Oh, Ocean County girl. Okay. All right. Ocean County girl. So we have a lot of great speakers today for you guys to hear. We have great presentation. And then of course, as soon as we're finished, I will post this out to you using that Eventzilla link. And there's a 1-hour PD certificate. We'll leave some time at the end for questions as well, if anybody has any questions for us. Okay. I'm going to mute myself and let our presenters take it over.
All right. Thank you so much, Michelle. We are excited to have everybody here today. As Michelle stated, my name is Maria Kruslow. I am currently a gifted and talented teacher in Evesham Township, and I work with grades really K to 8, directly instructing grades 3 to 8. And I have done a ton of work over the last 2 years on anti-racist literacy, and really starting with educating myself and really understanding a lot that I didn't know. So hopefully we can share some of that with you today. So that's a little bit about me. And then we're going to split up into breakout rooms once the 3 presenters introduce themselves. So if you're really interested and focused on the K-5, there'll be a K-5 presentation. And then if you're interested in 6-9, there'll be a 6-9 presentation happening concurrently to really meet everybody's needs as best as possible.
All right, I'm Bob Eisberg. Welcome, everybody. I'm retired from the Camden City Schools, and I now teach at Rowan elementary reading classes, early childhood reading classes, and that kind of thing. One of the nice things about this summer has been that there's been a lot of free PD available from publishers who would charge you an arm and a leg to see some of these people give in-person presentations. So it's been a very good opportunity. And of course, I never like to leave the house. That wouldn't make any difference if there was a pandemic or not. So I've been feel lucky to have taken advantage of that. And I do hope you will enjoy what we are working on today.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I'm Jennifer Ansbach. I teach high school at Manchester Township High School in Manchester. I live in Lenoka Harbor. And I've been teaching this is gonna be the start of my 23rd year. But in my free time, I am a doctoral student at Rutgers Newark, so I make the 75-mile drive twice a week. I am not sorry that the campus is closed because I get to stay home and Zoom and not drive up there. So I'm finished with my coursework. I am currently cramming for my comprehensive exams in November. And my work is it's in American Studies, and I'm working at the intersection of young adult literature and social justice. So this is how I spend my time.
All right, awesome. We want to welcome all of the participants. So this might be a little bit clunky to get everybody set into the breakout rooms. Michelle, I'm going to ask you, I have a poll set up, but I was thinking that the poll isn't going to necessarily show their names. So I think we just might have to go through and have you tell us whether you want K-5 or 6-9, and then I can sort of assign you to that breakout room. And then it should take about 30 seconds or so to get everybody where they need to be. And hopefully that works. So I appreciate everybody's patience in advance. The WJRC people, just hold on until the end. And then I think we'll start. I'm just going to sort of go down the line as I see the people on my screen so I can keep track, if that works.
And over on the sign, on the chat, people are also starting to list which grade.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, hopefully I can keep up with that. I'm gonna do my best here. I'm gonna move my little breakout room so I can see the people posting. All right, so just give me about 30 seconds. It's a good time to take a drink, get a snack, do what you need to do. All right, let's see.
Denise, you're funny too. Rename yourself to 669 or K5. You're really good. I'm gonna do that.
All right, if you want to rename yourself for a second, that would actually probably be helpful because the chat is going really, really fast. I am doing my best. Oh yeah, the renaming thing is very helpful. You just put even it right after your name would be great.
So while Maria's working on that, I just want to draw everybody's attention to the fact that our West Jersey, click on the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner, and then it'll have a drop-down menu for you. If you click on your picture and then the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner, it'll say rename.
Nope.
Okay, who's talking? Is this?
That might have been Carrie. So Carrie is K through 5, Maria.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
How about Vicky
But
Smith? Also K through 5.
I wanted to remind everybody to check out the resources on our website. We've got some fabulous ones under the main landing page, and as well as the drop-down menu. There's a bunch of resources for you there as you're looking to broaden your knowledge of literacy instruction.
And we will be adding a resource from today's presentation that you can take a look at as well.
All right, so I have just down to my last 3 people. Ann Baker. If you could unmute yourself and just tell me, are you K5 or 6-9? Kay Strom and Susan Morrissey. Those are the last 3.
I'm 5 to 8.
Ann Baker is, okay.
K5, Susan.
Susan, K5. Got it.
Susan, we're so glad you're here. I miss you.
And Kay Strom. I don't see that in the chat either.
Yeah. Maybe K through 5. If I'm thinking who it is, I've seen her before in another meeting.
Okay, all right, so everybody's assigned. I'm going to open up the rooms. It should populate you into your new space. And again, just want to enjoy and thank you for coming today.
Oh, Kelly is K Strom is 6 to 9. Sorry.
Oh, okay, hold on. I will adjust.
Thank you, Sandy.
All right, thank you very much. All right, rooms are going to be opening now. All right, I think.
Now, Maria, are you going to put these slides up, or is that?
Yes, I will put the slides up as soon as I just want to make sure everybody sort of gets
Great.
here. It looks like everybody that is in, this is the K5 breakout room. Just want to make sure everybody's in the right place. I didn't put somebody in the wrong spot. Awesome. All right, that went actually smoother than I thought. Renaming with the thing, that is a keeper. That is definitely a keeper. All right, so now let me share the screen here. And we're gonna cross our fingers that this works too. So far, so good. The Zoom gods are with us today. All right, so you should see the slides. Is that correct? Somebody could just sort of give me a verbal yes or no, that would be awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, Bob, you wanna kick it off, and you just let me know when you want me to switch the slide, and we'll sort of take it from there.
All righty. This is our presentation about reading for racial justice for primary and intermediate grades. Now, I put up a number of books here that we're going to take a look at, and I'm not going to lie, I'm mostly a primary person, but as we all know, books can be read at many different levels, so let's just keep that in mind. Go ahead, Maria. Is there a right time to teach about race? I've heard people say, well, you know what, if we don't talk about race, maybe we won't get into any trouble, and we won't raise any hackles with our parents and so forth. But this is not a view that is endorsed now, particularly since we've had all of these issues within just the last few months regarding the nature of race in our country. Maria? This is a chart that talks about how children develop awareness of their race and the races of others over the course of their early years. And as that title says, they're not too young to talk about race. Kids begin to notice race at a very early age and begin to act on what they notice as well. And begin to reflect what they've heard among their families and so forth. So if you look, for example, under number 5 there, it says by kindergarten, children show many of the same racial attitudes that adults in our culture hold. They have already learned to associate some groups with higher status than others. So we have to deal with race in our classrooms the minute children get there for, I guess, Head Start or pre-K programs that we're running. Anybody want to add on to that? Please feel free to interrupt, because we're here to all learn together and talk about some of these issues that are sometimes not too easy to talk about. I guess not. Maria?
Okay, I will switch. I think the one thing that this chart really struck a chord with me in terms of recognizing that when the kids get into the school, their minds have already been molded. And I think that sort of really puts an impetus on us to have those conversations, you know, starting in kindergarten or whatever grade we are in, and just sort of understanding all of the background knowledge that children come in with.
This is just an issue we're going to talk about very briefly. Go ahead, Maria, change the next one. And that is that we all know that children should be able to see themselves in the books that that they encounter when they're in school. And unfortunately, this is not really the case. This is the most recent survey from a unit of the University of Wisconsin based on windows, mirrors, and sliding glass doors, which is a concept that's really kind of quite old, but has gotten a lot more attention as we've been more careful about what we put in our classroom libraries. So of all the books published in 2018, 50% were books about the featured characters were white kids, whereas less than 1% were about Native Americans, First Nation children. And so you can imagine if you were one of those children and you rarely saw yourself portrayed in the books that were in your classroom, that your teacher was sharing, and so forth. So this means a couple things to me. First of all, publishers need to be more acutely aware of what they're putting out there. And of course, publishers are there in business to make money, but we also need to be aware of what we're putting in front of our students, what our classroom libraries look like. And of course, just because our classrooms may be relatively homogeneous doesn't mean that we are going to make our libraries homogeneous, because the whole idea of windows and mirrors is that kids need to see as many people as possible. And note in here that there are 27% of the characters are, bears and dogs and pigs and so forth. And I was at a talk with at the ILA last year with Donalyn Miller, and she said something to the effect of, well, I can guarantee you, I don't know about every one of your classrooms, but I'll bet you that you don't have any more animals and bears and dogs in your classroom this year than you had last year. So I thought that was a fairly pointed observation about that. Any comments about all of this? So, we're going to see that you can find these books and that they are prominent and much awarded books along these lines. Alrighty, thank you, Maria. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I know when I looked at this slide, it really helped me do an inventory of my own classroom library. And I know classroom libraries might look a little different this year with the restrictions due to the pandemic, but what kinds of books are we sharing with our students? What kinds of books are we recommending? And if we don't have them in our classroom library, does our school library have them? Can we access them? Because kids need to see who they are, and they need to see who other kids are so that they can build that empathy and understanding. And to that end, I think one of the things that I have realized, and I've kind of always viewed myself as somebody who, is not racist, who welcomes, I have friends of all nationalities and races and colors. But when I really started to dig into what it meant to be an anti-racist, I felt sad. I felt sad for myself, and I felt lied to and betrayed, and then I felt like I wasn't doing right by the students in my classroom. And I always go back to Maya Angelou's quote of when you know better, you do better. And so these are 3 books, and I would love to hear if anybody else has explored any of them, but these are 3 books that I've explored over the last, I would say, year, and they have been life-changing. Just understanding and getting really angry at my history teacher, saying, like, how did I not know some of this stuff? Like, I loved school. I was an avid reader. And when you read the adult version of Stamped from the beginning, and if you're familiar with Global Read Aloud, the student version of Stamped is one of the Global Read Aloud choices this year, and a lot of teachers are getting pushback from parents on being able to use it. But the adult version goes into much more depth on just our history and how every policy and law and decision really helped to reinforce those racist ideas, and how we sort of need to understand that as a teacher before we can even have an adequate conversation with the students in our room. And then How to Be an Anti-Racist, also by Ibram Kendi. And if you haven't heard him speak, oh my gosh, he's so full of wisdom. Just really kind of helps you analyze yourself and actions that maybe you didn't view. And I know I have some of them as well. And I think it's scary to sort of admit, like, wow, like I did that, and now I realize that was a racist thing to do. But his wisdom is that, well, we can't beat ourselves up over that, right? So we just sort of need to take ownership and then move forward. And currently, I'm still reading Not Light but Fire, and it's been tremendous in helping me sort of figure out how to have those meaningful conversations in the classroom with varying, age groups of children. But I think it's really important to build up our own understanding before we venture into having a conversation with kids where it might take a turn that we're not ready for. And I think we would all agree as members of WJRC and having a passion for literacy is that, you know, Matthew K says the fundamental thing you must do before you have any kind of controversial conversation, or any conversation at all for that matter, is you have to build relationships, and you have to build that culture of safety and acceptance in your classroom. And we can do that through literature and other things. But you can't just jump in on the first day and be like, okay, we're going to talk about race today. You know, you really have to understand each and every child in your room, and not just assume certain things based on what they look like, or what their last name is, or who their friends are, or who their parents are for that matter. And I think they've been life-changing books, and I'm wondering if anybody in the group has had an opportunity to read these. This is not an exhaustive list. Or if you have another one that you'd be willing to share to put on our list.
I just want to mention that I agree completely with Maria in the idea that we need to understand ourselves, and we need to have understanding of what might happen in our classroom, given our that all of our classes are different every year and so forth. But one of the things I don't want people to take away is that you have to know everything before you begin these conversations. If you say, well, you know what, I don't know this, so I'm not going to talk about it, I think you're missing the opportunity for students to begin to talk about these things. And if you do make a mistake, or if something ends up coming out that you didn't want to come out, you just, I know the right thing to do really is to like apologize or clarify or do things like that. Do not be hesitant to jump into this conversation just because you don't feel like you've read 10 books that are great about addressing this matter. So don't let your own lack of confidence in yourself stop you from conducting these conversations.
Agreed. Go ahead, Kristen.
I belong to a couple of groups this summer, as well as reading White Fragility, which I know has come under fire recently. But I think, like you said, it really caused a lot of introspection, examination of language and systems. And, as Bob said too, the big takeaway that I had was, especially from one of the groups that I belong to, is listening. Talk less, listen more, and not to steer away, even though we were kind of given that directive earlier on. But that the idea, I thought that was a powerful statement in that first slide that said, the idea of avoiding talk of racism reinforces racism, or race rather, it reinforces racism. And I think that that's something, it makes it pretty uncomfortable, but that's okay. I think that's the important thing for us to recognize. It's okay for us. It's okay. It's important to become comfortable with being uncomfortable in the conversation.
Right. At any point, if anybody wants to jump in with other book ideas, we will have a running resource list at the end that we are asking all of the participants to feel free to add to as well, because we can all learn from each other. So this comes from the Educator Collaborative, which is a group that does a lot of work around systemic issues of racism. And I loved these questions in terms of things that we need to ask ourselves about our curriculum, about our libraries, about the work that happens in our classrooms. And here are a few of the questions that I think really stuck out to me. Whose voices do my units of study, lesson, and library center? And I think this would be great work to do in a PLC, to really sort of examine, at a grade level, or within a particular, unit that a grade level does, like who's there and who's missing. Are my units of study inclusive of all racial, ethnic, gender, and sexual identities? And I would be surprised if anybody could say all of their units are inclusive at this point. I think, our goal here is to continue to work toward that and hopefully have that sooner rather than later. What do my students want to read and need to read? Conducting an inventory or a survey of what kinds of topics, they might necessarily have a title, but what kinds of topics do they want? And then us going and finding those. Whose agenda am I pushing in this work? I thought that was quite a loaded question that I've been using to reevaluate some of the work I do. And it's really a perfect time because we're reinventing what our lessons look like being virtual or hybrid. So this is a great time to really dig in and dismantle some of the things that might have been in place. How can I amplify voices of color with a curriculum centered around whiteness? And I think when you do some of that, that other reading, you realize that our curriculum is centered around whiteness. And so how do we, working within that box that we're given, how do we amplify those voices that are missing? And then how does the institution's mandated curriculum reinforce harmful ideologies that have led to violence in this society? And, I think when we do that in a group and we have those hard conversations, and then we bring it up to, the curriculum department or the superintendent or the school board, that's when change can actually, really happen. Any question or comments about some of these questions? And feel free to just unmute yourself and jump in.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi. I know that my team and I have been talking about this, and actually one of my other team members is on. Hi, Heather. With writing, we do Lucy Calkins, and the mentor texts for reading have changed, evolved a little bit over the last couple of years. Stone Fox is, kind of going away, and there's some other options to use. But for writing, I think that it's been easy, especially in the spring, we've gotten away from using mentor text for our writing lessons for units of study. So I think that especially when the kids are doing narratives and writing about their own experiences, that's a really good time to bring in read alouds in this regard that they can make those connections to, because it's going to reflect in their own work. So I know that that's something that has been kind of on my mind as we've been prepping to go back to school.
Thank you. If anybody else has anything, just jump in at any time. So this is another, middle grade book, and I apologize, this is a little blurry, but I really, really like this quote. And I'm gonna just let you read it, but this is a great book for kids to read. And the title of it is "This Book is Anti-Racist." Thoughts? Don't be shy. I think this speaks to us sort of being brave enough to have the conversations, even if we're not ready, because not speaking, we talk to our kids about bullying and being an upstander versus a bystander. And what she's saying is don't be a bystander. If you're not talking about it, you're a bystander. Is that better? Is it not blocked anymore?
I think this is a feature of Zoom.
Now there's a square in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. You know why? That's me looking at the chat box. Is that better?
That's better.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I didn't realize, I just thought I could see that. I didn't realize that actually showed up for you. So I appreciate that.
It just shows up as a gray box, but thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Is this book, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is this book a read aloud or something? Is it a chapter book? Like
It's a chapter
what would-
book. Yeah, it can definitely be done as a read aloud.
Okay. What type of, like, what's the genre?
It's fictional. Well, I mean, it's fiction, but it's nonfiction.
Right.
It's narrative.
Just looked it up. It says it's a self-esteem for teens and young adults paperback. It's $10. It's $10 on Amazon.
Yeah, it gives like tips and ideas on like how to be a good person overall. So, you know, you definitely, like, I know, you know, we're all trying to find places for social emotional learning. That's a great read aloud, to sort of have those conversations in a safe space, because you have a book to start the conversation. So it's not, and then the kids are reacting to the book as opposed to having to share their personal traumas or concerns sort of without having like something to package it with. I feel like it's safer. Kids are more open when you start with a read aloud.
What age group would you recommend even as a read aloud?
I mean, I think it's more elementary and you know, like grades 4, 5, 6. And it really kind of depends on your kids too. I mean, I hate to put age ranges on, because I know I did Refugee as a read aloud a few years ago with my 4th graders, and I got such pushback from other educators across the country. Like, how could you do that? There's so much violence in this book. It's real life. It's what happens. And it was such a moving book that years later, those kids who were in my class still talk about the characters from that book, because they're characters, but those are actually real people. So I think you kind of need to gauge, you know, the students in your class and you know, make a decision. You know, maybe you're a 3rd grade class, it's okay for. You know, so I think it's just looking at it and then knowing your kids. So as you can see, I'm a huge Ibram Kendi fan, but I think I did a book club with him and Jason Reynolds it was during the pandemic, spring school time. And we met for 4 weeks, and they were the most rich, raw conversations. And I think one of the things, you know, this goes back to bystander versus upstander, you know, and I think a lot of people say, well, I'm not racist. Like you know, I don't see color. Well, that is racist. And I think when, you know, and these are, you know, definitions directly from him. And I think when we kind of keep that in, you know, as our center and as our ground, it's not as scary to be an anti-racist and to sort of speak up and, you know, to get in that good trouble if that's what it takes to make change that, you know, is what's best for kids. Did anybody participate in the Kidlit for Black Lives Matter rally? It was held in early June. It was in the evening. It was like a couple of hours. Oh wait, no, see, hold on, I can't see you. Did anybody participate in that? Because I don't want to play this. Heather, you did. Did you listen to Kwame Alexander's poem at the end?
Yes, it was, I actually watched it with my daughter. She's 13. And this is sort of like awakened her this summer. She's become super passionate about this topic and about her friends. And so watching this with her was super eye-opening, and that the poem was beautiful. I mean, it was.
So I'd like to share this poem with you. It's the whole rally is worth watching, and we put it in our list of resources. This poem is about 30 seconds. I'm hoping the audio transfers okay. If not, we'll just have to watch. You can watch it later. But I think it's worth spending a couple of minutes on. So let's see if this actually works. can you see the video screen? Are you still seeing the slide?
We've got the video screen.
Okay, all right, let's see.
All the sweating palms and fears now. Not that it helps. Talk to Rob.
I just go a little forward. I thought I had it.
Hey, how you doing, brother? As we, to the old man on your corner.
Need 30 seconds here.
Love the Iana Dior, the Breonna Taylors, the Trayvon Martins, the Tamir Rices, and of course, the Big Floyds.
He's going to intro Kwame in just a second.
And before the hashtags hit us, take the time now to love us. On that note, hollering at Kwame Alexander.
America's bullet points. We can't see our home. We can't breathe the air. We can't break the chains. We can't run away. We can't speak our name. We can't keep our tongue. We can't learn to read. We can't sing a song. We can't be in love. We can't be a group. We can't shield our girls. We can't save our sons. We can't hold our own. We can't bend a knee. We can't take a stand. We can't save ourselves. We can't hold a gun. We can't stop that ship. We can't wear the skin. We can't hang ourselves. We can't run. We can't stay. We can't fight. We can't last. We can't vote. We can't voice. We can't whistle. We can't breathe. We can't cross a bridge. We can't ride a bus. We can't be in church. We can't have a dream. We can't wear our skin. We can't wear a hood. We can't play our songs. We can't be ourselves. We can't be at home. We can't be alone. We can't be unarmed. We can't shoot ourselves. We can't hold a gun. We can't hold a toy. We can't hold a phone. We can't do a thing. We can't drive a car. We can't walk the street. We can't ride a bike. We can't run away. We can't be a boy. We can't be a man. We can't be a man. We can't be afraid. We can't break these chains. We can't walk. We can't run. We can't dream. We can't be, we can't breathe, we can't live, we can't breathe, we can't live, but we will not die.
Reaction.
I typed mine, but yeah, I have chills everywhere. I like the spoken word poetry, and I think that was really, really good. It was powerful. I have chills everywhere now. I think, I think this is something that definitely, like, middle schoolers can definitely see this and kind of understand where, what we can do to help and where we're going from here.
I know I'll be using this in my classroom this year with my 4th and 5th graders, as well as my middle schoolers. It shows the power of words, the power of voice. And when you hear it from him, it's so impactful. So I thought that was worth sharing. Again, the link to that will be the link to the entire rally is in the resources that we'll share out with you at the end. Go ahead, Bob. Hey, my favorite guy, Ibram.
You know what? You can't get away from Ibram anymore. And so one of the things that was published this summer was Anti-Racist Baby. And this book first came out as a board book, which I always say are the books that children drool on. And it is also in a more standard paperback version. And of course, it's not really meant to be read by kids, and it has a lot of language. I don't think 3- and 4-year-olds understand what access is, but it does talk about, it has like 9 things that show how children should grow to be anti-racists. So I'm sure the book will be very popular. The illustrations are terrific, and so forth. Carrie, did you please comment on these? Carrie, what did you want to say about this book?
Oh, I actually have this book, and I have almost 2-year-old, and we actually do read this almost every day. It's one of the ones he picks out to read. He likes looking at the pictures, and this happens to be what I got on Amazon maybe about a month and a half ago, and since then, this is one that he constantly is drawn towards.
Thank you.
Again, he's going to be 2, so it's not like we're having deep conversation. But it's one that he does enjoy me reading to him.
All right, go ahead, Maria. And well, we probably already know this book. Again, is Kwame Alexander. This was the Caldecott winner this year for Kadir Nelson. It is extremely powerful. It has like a blank page that is intended to show what has been missed because of all the violence that has occurred in the lives of Black people and so forth. It has the famous drawings of what the slave ships looked like. One of the things I want to mention is, since one of the things the pandemic did was it got everybody to put pretty much every book on YouTube. I'm not saying that's legal. I'm not saying you should do that or not do that. But you can, before you want to use these books in your classroom or order them for your classroom, you can pretty much look at all of them. But this is a book that I don't think you will forget. And like I said, it was the Caldecott winner this year. Maria? I'm just, essentially, I'm just going through books that I can imagine using in primary and intermediate classrooms. And this book is bilingual. And one of the things I think that we're seeing more of is books that are bilingual. And this book actually talks about melanin and skin color and so forth. I have not read it myself, I'm not gonna lie, but it is a very well reviewed book and interesting for the scientific aspects that it does talk about. Maria?
Oh, sorry, I was trying to hit it, wasn't cooperating there. There you go.
This is a book that I love, Jabari Jumps by Gaia Cornwall. I believe that it was a Caldecott Honor book from 2019. And this book to me just shows that, you know, everybody has fears in their lives. You know, this boy is having a little difficulty making that final decision to jump from the diving board at the pool, but everybody has support that they count on, and his support is his father, who has much wisdom for him. And again, please jump in on these books. Carla, how did your first graders like this book?
Sorry, just had to unmute myself. Really, it was a beautiful story, beautiful illustrations, and I was trying to like refresh myself, but like we definitely read that this year, and we got it as a resource from the local library. So I'm definitely gonna remind myself to add that to the list of a book to definitely get out again for this year.
And a lot of these books, Maria was mentioning mentor texts before, and a lot of these books are good mentor texts. I mean, everybody, every child has something that they have a little fear of that they can overcome, that this can provide a jumping off point for their writing as well as for their reading. Maria? This is one of my favorite books of all time. This book is not new. Matt Della Pena's book, Last Stop on Market Street. And he goes with his grandmother to take care of the homeless, but his ability to observe things and his opportunity to observe things, I just think that that's unparalleled the way it was written about. And this book actually won the Newbery Award, which doesn't usually go to picture books. If you don't have this in your library, you need to spend the $11 and get it in there. Maria? This is a new book. And why is the author's, the author is a Vietnamese American, and this book, as I recall it, I've seen the YouTube video of it, is that this girl feels different because she is both a racial minority and her parents are, she has two moms. So she feels a little bit bad at the beginning, but she goes out into the world and does all these fun things and goes home, and her life is better for experimenting with the outside and thinking more positively about what she has the opportunity to do. And maybe I will remember the title of the other book that this author has written. My Poppy Has a Motorcycle. Has anybody read this book? Want to share about this one? This girl, she's a Hispanic girl, and her father comes home. Her father works in some sort of a job where he uses his hands, and he doesn't say much. Like a lot of parents don't say much, but he has such great pride in showing his daughter what is in his community, some of the stores and some of the shops that have a distinctly Hispanic air to them. And it shows you that, the power of the strong and silent parent, but the pride that people feel in their communities that we might not notice under other conditions. And I had thought that this book might win the Caldecott, but I believe it was an honor book announced this year. Maria. Saturday is by Oge Mora, and it is her latest book. Her previous book was Thank You, Amu, which was also an award winner. In Saturday, this little girl goes out with her mother on Saturday, which is her mother's only day off, and all sorts of things, all sorts of unpleasant things befall them. I mean, not like horrible violence or anything like that, but they can't do the things that they were hoping to do, like they'd forgotten concert tickets and they weren't able to get in and so forth. And at the end of the day, her mother felt horrible about this day, but the girl was so happy that she'd gotten to spend time with her mom, no matter whether things had worked out exactly correct. And this book has just that upbeat feeling to it. And I believe that the author is also the illustrator here, and her illustrations are very heartwarming. So this is another book that I really love. Maria. The Day You Begin, and probably a lot of you have seen this one. Jacqueline Woodson, is she still the children's author laureate in the National Endowment for the Humanities or something like that? But you know that she's written across age groups and so forth. And this, we have one person in the chat who's talking about this. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I just watched, they have a really beautiful, of course, YouTube video of this book that I stumbled across when I was going through some things for school, and I had not read it. I love Jacqueline Woodson's books. Each Kindness is my favorite. And my kids were with me. They're like, I want to watch. So we watched it together, and it actually is great. My son is going into 3rd grade, and there were just a lot of points when we could stop and chat about it. I just took it as a teaching point with him. And it's one of those books where if you don't stop and talk, a lot of things can be missed. And that's what I found was happening when he was listening to the story. So I think it's great for discussion. And I actually thought it would be great for like the first week of school, because even at home, whether the kids are home or they're going to school, like everybody's kind of starting something new right now. So I actually thought it was a really great story. And I believe it's on Epic as well. So it's accessible to everybody. So it was really beautiful. I love her writing.
This really is a terrific book. And as you point out, she is, you know, all of her books are really worth reading, and Each Kindness, you know, is a book that you can read to any grade, really, and they'll think about how they behave around others and what a difference that makes in their lives as well as the lives of others. Now, this is just a very good book about getting out of your shell and so forth. So I wanted to recommend that. Maria, Alma and How She Got Her Name. There actually are a lot of books out there about how children get their names. I remember the book, The Name Jar, and there are others. This book, Alma has like 7 names. And of course, she's mortified about that at the beginning until her father explains what the connection is to all of these names. And, you know, this is an important book because it shows us, you know, the heritage that we all have and sometimes don't recognize, and as well as what's important to us in our lives. So I think this is a great book. If you have not read it, please do. Maria? The Proudest Blue. Has anybody read this one? Now, I don't know who this Olympic medalist is, but it's a story is told by her sister, who's the girl there in the boat, about how this 6th grader began wearing a blue hijab to school, and how her mother made her feel so good about the value of that and taking pride in that, and not letting anybody stand in your way. And if students don't have any idea about what a hijab is, this is perhaps a good way to introduce them to it as well. No, My First Book of Protest. This is a cute little book where they talk about protesters like Rosa Parks and various people around the world, people like Malala and so forth, who refuse to follow the path that they have been placed upon, and so forth. And it has, you know, it has a big no on every page. It's very accessible to kids at lower grade levels. My First Book of Protest, and hopefully kids will read many books about protest as they move through the grades. Maria? The King of Kindergarten. This is just a really cute book about a kid's first day of school. And again, this is about, includes how a parent influences a child to take pride in his accomplishments, large or small. I think everybody will enjoy taking a look at that one. Maria? Drawn Together. This is the story of a young boy who thinks he has nothing in common with his his grandfather, until he realizes that they both have an interest in drawing and bringing the generations together. His father, I don't think speaks, his grandfather, why do I keep saying his father? Doesn't speak any English, but they do have a way of making a bond, and the generational gap is overcome, as well as showing the pride that people can have in their own families. Something Happened in Our Town. This is about a a violent confrontation that takes place. Go ahead. We're kind of running out of time here, Maria. And hit the next slide. There's various, I just wanted to mention that there are various things you can find on the internet to look at what multicultural books focused on equity actually how you can say, you know what, I need this in my library, or oh, maybe I can wait until next year or the year after, and so forth. So this book has this form has a bunch of questions that you can ask yourselves. And I would recommend that you kind of do this with your teams as you're teaching, kind of go through these. If you have maybe 5th and 6th graders in your classroom, they can also do this work, looking at how characters are represented. Do they have agency in these books? Are they representative of the culture, or are they just sort of characters that have been sort of painted a different color and could be anybody in the world? And then the last one I have is this classroom library questionnaire, which was developed by Lee and Low Publishers. Not that they want you to get them to buy books, which of course they do, but a way for you to examine what you have in your library through this series of questions that you can go through. And this has been out a few years now, and I think you'll find it valuable when you look at your own library. So that's what I had, Maria.
All right, I'm gonna bring us all back together. There were just a couple of other chapter books that I wanted to point out. I lost it. The Front Desk, I don't know if any of you do the Global Read Aloud, but The Front Desk, written by Kelly Yang, was a book that we did last year. And I had it here. Oh, here it is. Hang on. I didn't bring it over to my pile. But this is great. And this is really about a child who comes over with her family and the racism that they experience and how they overcome it. The kids loved this book. Kelly Yang did a great job. She created a bunch of videos that go with it that are still accessible on her website, where she talks about how the story was based on her own life. And the kids really connected with that and really brought, the character's name is Mia, and really brought Mia into the classroom as a fellow student.
Maria, is that a graphic novel?
No, it's not. It's just it's a chapter book. Those are all my post-its. And then the other one that I wanted to bring, this one is near and dear to my heart. This is the complete story of Sadako Sasaki. And if you're familiar with Sadako and the Thousand Paper Cranes by Eleanor Khor, this is actually the complete story. That one was essentially fiction. There's a lot of things that are not accurate in that book. This one was written by Suda Chiko and Sadako's brother. He is still alive, and it was written, I don't know, maybe between like, I think 5 and 7 years ago, if I'm correct. But I've had an opportunity to, I work closely with the author on Peace Crane project work, and this really gives, you know, like the 3 to 5 age grade level range, an eye into the history of World War II, what really happened and what happened to the people there, and how they view Americans today. They're not angry with us. And I know when I shared this book with my students, we did it as a read aloud. They couldn't believe how they weren't angry with us. And then other students sort of went off on tangents and explored, you know, nuclear weapons, and it really became sort of a central point in the classroom to explore lots of different issues: reading, writing, social studies. And I know this is available on Amazon, and then proceeds also go to the Peace Memorial in Hiroshima. And there's lots of resources to go along with this book as well. I know we're out of time. We hope that this session was valuable and you're able to walk away with something new. We look forward to sharing all of the resources with you. There's so many groups out there that are pulling together work on sort of how to have some of these conversations in the classroom. The Abolitionist Teacher Network has some really, really great resources. I have that link in the resources as well. Of the Brown Bookshelf, which is sort of created by Kwame Alexander. There's tons of suggestions there. And then if you're a Title I school, I'm sure you're familiar with First Book, but First Book Marketplace has a whole section where they have discounted books that cover race and equity, and they're sort of broken down by that. So it's a great place to go and help curate your library or the school's library in that sense. So any closing thoughts or comments or ideas from anyone before we say goodbye? And Michelle, I don't know if you want to say anything on behalf of West Jersey Reading Council.
Yeah, this was a great resource that we're going to pull together for everybody. It will come up on the website, so we can reference this later on and add to it too, since it'll be a Google Doc. I am currently trying to get the other group back into here, so they're texting me right now from the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So. No, it was very, very informative. Thank you. And a lot of great books that I wrote down that I'm going to read. I think I have How to Be an Anti-Racist. I believe I have that here. I have an original ARC copy. So I'm going to go pull that one out because I was just grabbing things when I went to BEA. So I'm going to go grab that one and make sure that I read that before school. So
awesome. Bob, any closing thoughts?
No, I just want to thank everybody for attending and sharing some of their ideas. And we hope to pull even more of these together as the year goes on. We want this to be kind of a work in progress as opposed to a closed book.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And if you have a question about any of the resources in the resource document that we'll share out with you, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're happy to help. All right. Are we going to come back together with the other group? Or are they?
Oh, let's see.
I don't want to close the breakout rooms if she's still in the middle of talking.
I know, because it says we already Donato did. I don't know what that means. I can't understand the text.
Maybe they probably already said their goodbyes.
They might have. Okay. Yeah, I told them to wrap it up. We already did, probably. I guess you can end the chat group and then everybody will come back together and then that will.
I am closing all the rooms.
Yes. Here we go. Okay, now we're back in the main section. Okay. Yeah, they might have already started to say goodbye. I think it's just us left. Okay.
All right, well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Again, reach out to us, West Jersey Reading Council. I mean, our goal is to provide resources to help you do your jobs better. But we also know that we can all learn from each other. So if you come across something awesome, please share with us too, and we can share it out to the greater audience. So thank you. Enjoy your last week or so of summer, and best of luck to everybody at the beginning of school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.